Hello everyone, Gilligan Kruger 0829 here, and welcome to part 5 of my Prometheus movie series marathon review. Today we finally enter crossover territory as the Alien franchise meets with the Predator franchise in Alien vs. Predator from 2004. Yes, following high from 2003's box office smash, Freddy vs. Jason, director Paul W.S. Anderson, this guy, he decided to bring science fiction's most infamous killers to the big screen for a battle. And while the film was hyped up from all sorts of levels to promotion, boy were fans and critics displeased when the final product was released. In fact, to say it just like that is probably a gross understatement. But when we look back at it, is the film really as bad as everyone remembered it to be? Well, the universal answer is most likely a resounding hell yes. But I decided to give my 2 cents to it anyway. So, here it is, the first crossover, Alien vs. Predator. So this movie starts in 2004, same year the film came out, when a satellite picks up an unusual heat signature off of an island not very far from the Antarctic mainland. This attracts a wealthy industrialist named Charles Bishop Wayland, who is played by, I'm not joking here, Lance Henriksen. Yes, they actually got him back into the franchise. I don't know how, I don't know when, but that's another matter entirely, so let's not get distracted. Anyway, Wayland's character decides to get a huge team together, including scientists, drill workers, mercenaries of the works. One of them is even tour guide Alexa Woods, played by Sanaa Lathan. And when the crew get there, they're met with a fascinating discovery. See, under an abandoned whaling facility, they find a frozen pyramid trapped thousands of years in the ice. It's covered in hieroglyphics, so they almost immediately begin to study it. Unfortunately, 3 predators have landed on the island at right about the same time, and they're about to look at the new trespassers, so to speak. And to make matters even worse, it turns out the pyramid is also the home of a xenomorph colony run by a very pissed off queen that just came out of a stasis. And the movie is essentially a combination of how the trespassers meet up with the aliens and the predators and have an all-out bloodbath war. So yes, as I said earlier, this movie was not very positively reviewed. That's the best way I can think of it when it first came out. Both critics and fans were despising the movie. In fact, I read comparisons putting this next to some of the weaker movies in the resounding franchises like Predator 2 and Alien Resurrection. So, is it really that bad? Well, on a critical level, I guess you could say that, but I kind of enjoyed it. Okay, just hear me out. I have a bit of explaining to do. First off, I'm just going to start by saying this movie got me into the Alien franchise. I had not seen Alien or Aliens before this, mainly because my dad wouldn't let me watch R-rated movies in junior high, but this, when it came out, I watched it, and I really liked it. I wasn't expecting a really intellectual, science fiction, gritty film. I just wanted to see cool animals kicking the shit out of each other, and that's what I think I got. The creatures in this movie look awesome, especially the xenomorphs. I think this is the best they have ever looked in this franchise, and it really holds up when they're fighting. And the queen in this movie, she is fantastic. I think it was really terrifying to see her. I always thought of the Queen as like a science fiction version of the coolest animal of all time. And that, as we all know, is Tyrannosaurus Rex. But for me personally, I thought the creature designs for this movie was just breathtaking. I fell in love with the look of these creatures back then. I still like them now. I just thought it was handled really well. It's awesome. And, speaking of awesome, I thought the fight scenes were pretty cool as well. Yes, to all of you about to say it, I know, they're few and far between. We don't see all that much of them, but when we do see them, particularly the one halfway through the movie and towards the end, I thought they were high octane, I thought they were gritty, I thought they were bloody, I thought that was what I was going to get from this movie, and again, on that level, it delivered. Yes, it's something more that you'd expect that a teenage boy would like, but that's how old I was when I first saw this movie, and that's the appeal to it. So, there's that. The characters, human characters I mean, on the other hand, are a little bit mixed. The way I'm going to approach this is kind of like the way I approached the characters in Alien 3 and Alien Resurrection. I don't remember all that many of them, but I think they did some decent work with the characters I do remember. Like, I did like Lance Henriksen's character. He's kind of the sort of industrialist slash scientist who just wants nothing but to complete the mission. And that's always an enjoyable character. And you've got this one character, I think is played by Ewan Brimmer, I apologize if I said the name wrong, who kind of plays this school teacher and father, and I've got to say, I was pretty sad to see his character go. Sorry about the spoiler there. And when we come to our main female lead in the form of Woods, yeah, she's no Ripley, but I still thought she was interesting. In fact, something I really liked about this movie, though I'm sure you're all going to hate me for saying this, is I liked the concept of having her and the Predator team up and fight off the rest of the aliens. That was cool. Now, granted, Adrian Brody would do it a couple of years later in Predators, but that's a whole nother movie to talk about. So, yeah, honestly, this movie is really junk food, but it is a good time. I did enjoy it. Even watching it recently, I did have a lot of fun. I don't know how to say that enough times, but I will say, I do not think it's near perfect. No. And the main reason for that is because of the story. In fact, just to clarify, I don't think this is a bad story. I don't think it's horrible at all. It really dives into some interesting mythology. The only problem is, they don't do enough with it, and that's what really disappointed me. Okay, so here's the basic background of the story. See, it turns out the pyramids were built to the predators, since humans mistaken them for gods. And to worship the predators, they actually got human sacrifices, which the aliens would hatch out of, and the predators would hunt those for sport. Now, personally, I think that's kind of interesting. It kind of goes along this Aztec mythology sort of esque thing with sacrifices and whatnot. But, do they ever really go into deep analysis of that? No, they don't. And it's really painful for me personally because they had a really forced exposition way of bringing that out about 2/3 of the way in the movie. And I still thought they could make it subtle and interesting, but never really did. It really just ends up turning into a sci-fi shoot-'em-up, which that is where I can understand the criticism and comparisons to, say, Alien Resurrection or Predator 2. So, yeah, really big hit. I know it's just one thing in a movie, but sometimes it's just one criticism that can really bring it down for you, and this one really brought it down for me. I think Paul W.S. Anderson, as a lot of you know, is more of a visual director than a storytelling director along the lines of Michael Bay or even Zack Snyder. In fact, the style kind of reminds me a lot of Snyder, and that's the real flaw in this movie. If they had gotten someone else like Ridley Scott or James Cameron back, it probably would have been a lot better and wouldn't have all the nasty trashing it does today. But I'm going to go back to the question I asked in the beginning. Is Alien vs. Predator a horrible movie? On a critical level, I will agree and say yes. But, is it a guilty pleasure for me? Absolutely. I had a lot of fun with Alien vs. Predator. It was just really cool to see these two characters clash. While they could have done better, I agree, there was still a lot of excitement to it. And though I'm going to get a lot of nasty comments for this, I will say it is more enjoyable than both of the previous Alien movies. So, yeah, there you go. You're probably all disappointed that I didn't bash the movie in, but we still have one more to talk about, and I'll save that for the next movie. So, As for Alien vs. Predator, 3 stars out of 5. You can find all my movie reviews on my YouTube channel. If you have a movie you'd like me to review, comment on this video or on my channel. Subscribe if you like, and until next time, peace!